Something magic happens every time you go. Make the magic happen. Make the magic happen.
Heyo, it's the Orioles Spastics, the one and only Orioles baseball / Arrested Development fan podcast. I'll be your host this evening, Dean Eastlake, and I'm joined by Charlie Hoppus.
Hey, good to be back.
And unfortunately for all of us, but fortunately for Chris, he is at a local production of Spamalot.
Oh, Chris.
So I don't really know if there's much to say about that. It's raining in Albany somewhere, and he's in an outdoor stadium of sorts.
His local production of Spamalot's on rain delay. He was just texting us. That's good.
So we may hear from him, maybe not.
It's been a while for us since we last did a podcast. Well, you were on vacation.
That's right.
So we missed last week, but we had a very exciting week. We brought out a new logo, updated our Facebook and our website, despite being still one of the clunkier looking ones. We like it. It's our home. We added 15 Facebook likes and I think more than 60 new Twitter followers.
Watch out for bridges and hop-ons. I'm gonna get some hop-ons. It smells like gas. I get hop-ons.
Well, of course you're gonna get hop-ons.
Banner.
You're gonna get
hop-on. I got distracted. We're gonna cover the hydraulic flaps in the riser system after I tell you the basics about how to avoid a hop-on.
He was doing really well. Had his first hop-on.
He's gonna videotape that hop-on.
We got hop-ons.
Hop-ons.
Feels good. That's good to know. I was out serving the good people of Shamokin, Pennsylvania, that good old coal mining township. And you're right, I've missed so much. I literally know nothing of what has been happening. And Charlie, I'm going to rely on you to bring me up to date on the Orioles since the All-Star break.
Well, let's talk about that in just a second. Before we move on to some real stuff. First off, thanks to everyone that did hop on our Twitter. We appreciate all the new followers. We hope you like the show. It's not good. If you're looking for something good, you are in the wrong place, my friends. We are here for just sort of blabbing about the Orioles and making some Arrested Development references. A couple, one or two.
But if you made it this far, we appreciate it.
We appreciate it. You haven't unfollowed us on Twitter, and you're, for some reason, listening to our podcast. So, thank you. Enjoy it. Night at the Yard is Tuesday night, which it'll be, depending on when this comes out, it'll either be tomorrow night or later this evening for all you out there in Futureland. So we're really looking to enjoy Section 336's event that they have going, where we've been promised that we will not be punched in the face by Matt Soroka.
Although you never really know with him, he never really comes and gives you a straightforward answer, and he'll constantly go back on what he says. So
I think as long as Bert and Josh are there, we can trust them to keep Matt in line. I'm worried about Matt's maybe like coming after us, and World's Worst Intern. I feel like we could probably get along with him the best, but maybe just saying just the wrong thing will set him off, and who knows? Who knows what he's capable of?
I don't know.
Abracadabra. It's gonna be a fun night.
Nice job, bro.
if
we've got buttons too.
That wasn't a
nice job,
bro. That wasn't a button. That was just you.
Nice job,
stop.
Bro.
But yeah, we're looking forward to that. If you happen to just even be at Camden Yards on Tuesday night against the Astros, come say hey to several podcasts, including Baltimore's best podcast. Which I'm saying that because who knows who that is? There's going to be, I think, 4 or 5 different podcasts there, and that's what this podcast war is all about.
That's right. The final showdown will hit on August 1st. We have a big announcement for everybody, so stay tuned to that. We had a nice video posted up on YouTube that lasted all of maybe 10 seconds before it got taken down for copyrighted material. So if anyone knows how to post copyrighted material things that are slightly modified to YouTube, let us know, because we lasted 10 seconds.
It got 4 views.
Oh, really?
4. One of them was me testing to make sure it was on YouTube. It was.
And the other 3 were the people that were like, "Oh, this is copyrighted," right?
Yeah. But so a lot of exciting stuff for our podcast, the podcasting community at large. It's good to be back, Dean. It's good to be back.
I know there's a lot for me to catch up on. I got like bits and pieces of tweets and Facebook updates. There was the spottiest coverage. So I have a hint that there was a trade. I have a hint that we did well against Texas, maybe not so well against Kansas City. But I really don't know anything behind that. To be
Well, let's hash this out. The two big roster moves that you should know about are Henry Urrutia. I can now say it because I've heard it's said enough. Was brought up and has been doing a lot, most are DHing, although not all, and has hit fairly well. Not blowing it off. He's got a high average, but it's almost all singles with the exception of a triple that would have been a single if it would have been played nicely. What's really cool is 7 of his 9 hits so far have been to opposite field. So he's really taking what he's being given, which is nice. I guess he's not such a young hitter. He's 26, which is how old we are. Depressing.
But yeah. But in his first at bat, I think I remember his first at bat. Wasn't it bases loaded and he choked? He's going to be a choker the rest of his life. He doesn't really have what it takes.
Does he have what it takes to be in the major leagues? Speaking of not having what it takes, we got K-Rod. His first appearance, he gave up a home run.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
There's a little bit of back and forth in the world about whether the K-Rod trade is a worthwhile one. Relievers typically don't add, especially for 2 months, don't add a whole lot of wins above replacement because they don't have that much opportunity to. And the player that we traded was our number, or by some accounts, our number 4 prospect.
Who was it?
Oh, gosh, don't make me say his name. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to do it. Nick something, right. And I'm not going to say his name.
Right.
But he had sort of stagnated a little bit. He's still really young, age 21, and his main issue was defense, projected to sort of be a corner infielder type. Anyway, this is sort of old news for everyone, but yeah, K-Rod should be, that said, a really nice piece to the back of our bullpen, and I think he'll have more of an impact than a lot of relievers in other teams' situations and whatnot, because we've already put a lot of innings on a lot of these pitchers' arms. So now we've got another high-leverage pitcher that we can use, and hopefully it'll take some of the wear and tear off of Big Game and Darren O'Day and maybe even Jim Johnson. So it's nice.
Yeah, we were talking before the break that Big Game was putting up a lot of innings, so I guess that is good. So same with Johnson. So has he come into any save situations yet, or has he just been setup guy so far?
K-Rod,
yeah.
he actually came in one mop up so far. Gave up that homer. So we'll definitely see more of him.
All right. Well, I don't want to drag anyone down to what's already been going on, but we've hit a recent rough patch now.
Yeah, it's been tough, and if you go on Twitter or any of the message boards, it's a little bit tougher than that. Sort of seems like the world's ending a little bit, which kind of feels that way if you're watching these games. Chris Davis, 22 games in a row with a strikeout. It's not good. That ties him for the longest streak of the season in Major League Baseball. So
has he also had 22 straight games with a home run though?
It felt like that earlier this season, but he ended as we all know, he ended the All-Star, or the first half, the pre-All-Star break anyway, with a homer in 4 straight games. He hasn't had any success at all since. He's OPSing 608 since the All-Star break, which is, less than his, whatever it was.
1,000.
Yeah, Bonzian numbers that he was putting up the month before. So there's been talk of maybe sitting him down. I don't know. What do you think about that, giving Chris Davis a little bit of a break?
Yeah, I did see some of that today. That was the talk that LJ Hose was going to come out and take his spot for a little bit. I don't know. I mean, we just had the All-Star break. I guess he didn't really get a chance to break all that much. I guess he got, maybe 2 days of rest?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a big man. He plays a semi-demanding position.
He plays great defense for us.
Yeah,
which is amazing because that was a question mark in spring training.
And I'm sure that he's, hitting the weight room pretty hard throughout the week. It's not like he's just running out there and playing baseball games. So, I mean, everyone needs a break a little while. And if the man's struggling a little bit, I don't know if that's going to mess with him mentally.
Cal Ripken didn't need a break.
That's true. Why can't everyone just be like Cal?
Manny and JJ have started every single game together since Manny got brought up, which is 145 games in a row now. I just saw this, which is the most consecutive games started by the left side of an infield in 60 years.
Wow.
So some people actually can play every game, Dean.
So you're saying we should trade J.J. Hardy for Jake Peavy?
I'm saying that we should move Chris Davis to third base. And then start him along J.J. Hardy for the rest of the season.
Everyone needs a break, man. It's not that big a deal.
So what do you think? DH him or out of the lineup altogether?
No, I'll get him out of the lineup.
Okay.
I mean, DH, all you're thinking about is hitting. Sometimes that screws with people. They need to get out there, get in the field, get in the rhythm.
Who's even going to play first base?
I don't care. Someone who can catch a ball.
I don't know. Our infield defense is pretty critical, man. Who's going to play first base?
Well, we have this utility man that I know of that
Mr. F.
could be right for the job.
I forgot. Ryan Flaherty. Ryan Flaherty will play first base. Okay.
But who's been playing at second while I've been gone?
Roberts.
Do you have any idea?
Roberts.
Dang it.
Roberts has been playing well. It's fine.
Is he?
Yeah, well enough.
Whatever.
It's not a total black hole. But yeah, Chris Davis, there's no other word for it. He's in a huge slump. People are wondering if he needs a rest. People are wondering if the home run derby did something to him. There's all sorts of discussions of his demise, which is, well, it makes me feel a little bit like this.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly.
A little bit like that.
A little bit like that. It's
couldn't one of the explanations be that baseball players go through slumps?
Don't be preposterous. The other thing is the thing that's made this stretch particularly frustrating is we opened up the second half in quotes after the All-Star break. We started 4-0. We swept Texas, which is huge because they're hot on our heels in the wild card race. And we took our first from Kansas City, and we had 6 straight quality starts to open the half. So we made it all the way through our rotation.
What?
Wayne Chen got a second one. Just, I don't know. That's been our thing, right? All season, we're like, this team's going to do it. All we need is to get the starting rotation in order.
All right.
So we won 4 of those games, but lost 2 to Kansas City. So we had 2 straight series with all quality starts and only went 4-2, which could happen.
Dang it! It was Jim Johnson blowing saves, wasn't it? Ugh.
It was a little bit of, it's easy to turn into armchair manager. It was a little bit of weird bullpen management, I thought. Wayne Chen. Although, so in one of the games...
Wait, did you say bullpen management and then Wayne Chen?
Yes.
Is he in the bullpen?
No. They left him out there for the 8th inning in one of the games.
Oh, wow.
And maybe it was even the 9th inning. They left him in a little bit too late. And somebody that had only had 7 home runs all season coming into the game, or maybe even only 6. We don't do our research very much here. But anyway.
Wait, wasn't it I thought I heard that Tillman got left in a little too long.
That
He
also
got
happened.
into the 9th inning?
Yeah.
Oh, so that also?
Yes. But Wayne Chen gave up 2 homers to somebody that only had 6 homers coming into the game. So Buck probably wasn't anticipating that, especially because Chen's kept the ball in the park lately really well. So, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Does he know what he's doing?
He doesn't know what he's doing. We also got a 7th quality start in the Boston series. Tillman pitching parts of a shutout. So that was awesome. Then we lost the rest of the Boston series, and Poppy smashed a phone, and then he went 4 for 5.
Wait, did he apologize or anything?
No, he did not apologize. He went on the offensive.
The man was disrespected.
He felt disrespected, and then I don't want to talk about that. It's so frustrating. I'm not one of those. I mean, think of the kids. I don't think of the kids. It's fine. They're adults, but you can't flip out about being disrespected when you step out of the box. First off, that's really hard for the umpire to make any sort of call when you step out of the box. The ump definitely blew the call. Don't get me wrong. Ump very much blew the call. Very bad call.
I don't know, man. It could have hit the line.
It was an awful call. But I mean, okay, now you've removed his his point of reference. I don't know where he thought he was going, but he left the batter's box ahead of time. You struck out in a 7-2 game. I get the point that you're a designated hitter and your whole livelihood is to hit, and it sucks that somebody unfairly took that from you. But that wasn't strike three, first off. You swung at a pitch that was in the dirt to strike out. And lastly, and definitely most importantly, it was 7-2 in the late innings of that game. Don't make it all about you. Your team is winning. Chill out. You almost injured people in your dugout by destroying a phone. I was surprised that we didn't hear anything from Major League Baseball about it. If not at least a fine.
It looked like classic roid rage to me. I mean, classic roid rage.
Classic. You gotta stay away from those. I'm glad that we're also not going to talk about any of the suspensions. Although I will say, I will say Nelson Cruz being one of the people suspended would help the Orioles' wild card chances.
So we've got some good pitching lately. The bats have kind of gone cold, but at least someone corked Weeder's bat. It seemed like
he's hitting well. Last 30 games, he's OPSing 831, which is great. Been even hotter since. Especially that Texas series. It just seemed like he was on base every single plate appearance. But I think this whole skid after the 4-0 start, the going 1-5 cents against Kansas City, which is a bad team, which of course makes people freak out. No less against two former Orioles, Bruce Chen and Jeremy Guthrie. It's sort of a bitter pill to swallow. And then losing 2 of 3 against the Red Sox, especially after it was a contentious series. I mean, Poppy's little flip out, not cool. John Lackey was bitching and moaning the entire game. That first game they lost. That's a team that's going to whine a little bit, and it's not necessarily an awful thing. And there's a lot of people that felt that despite being a Camden Yards that was full of predominantly Orioles fans, that Orioles fans didn't show up to the series. They were quiet, which is...
I hate Boston. I think Yankees fans being in Orioles Park doesn't bother me as much as it does Boston fans. It's just, the accents. If there is an accent, I hate it. But the only thing that I hate about that is when I hear the accent, then you know that they're actually a legit Boston fan, which makes you want to respect them a little bit, but then it's the terrible accent, so you can't.
Also,
it's like a vicious circle. It's like a roofie circle.
Everything's like a roofie circle. Something else, they showed a picture, MLB Twitter account tweeted out a picture of Cody Ross repairing the bullpen phone, or like pretending to. And on the back of the shirt, it said, "If you can read this, you're in second place," which is funny because both at the time they were in second place, and also your was the wrong your.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was bad. I just hate the Red Sox. And so it was especially embittering series because we take the first game. We can't get anything going with our bats the last 2 games at all. Poppy flips out and sort of nothing's done about it. The fans are quiet, so the people that weren't there felt sort of ticked off. The people that were there are all ticked off. This is all just getting the pulse off of social media and fan sites and blog posts and message boards. Everyone is really, 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 really upset about this particular skid. Dean, can you give us some clarity? I mean, these are big games. You can't lose to crappy opponents. You can't lose to division rivals. But it's still July, which isn't still got 2 months, and also this Orioles team is a year and a half removed from being just one of the worst franchises in baseball. Just a complete laughingstock. What do you think?
It's hard to take these games right now so seriously, knowing that at the end of the season, it's so stacked with AL East games. It's like that's when it's going to be decided. So it's hard to get too wrapped up in what's happening now. It sucks to drop games to the Royals, and if we drop one to the Astros at home, it's going to suck. But we can make up so much ground at the end of the season that it's hard to get too worked up. It seems like we're strengthening up our team. We're getting our bullpen ready. If you look down the batting order, we seem like we're pretty shored up. We're starting to get quality starts. So you see a lot of this positive movement, and things seem to be starting to congeal together. So if we can keep it together as a fan base, keep it together as a team, ride out whatever the heck happens in the middle of the season here, and just get prepped for the end of the season. I don't know. I'm almost on like cruise control right now, just waiting for the end of the season because it's going to be nuts.
Something that somebody had said earlier, I think this is interesting. And this is no disrespect to anyone that this was your experience. There was a lot of Orioles fans that got so fed up with Peter Angelos's Orioles that they sort of became casual fans. People that were really invested baseball fans were chased away by years of Devi Cruz and I can't even do this. It's upsetting. Hayden Penn as your top prospect. And, it was extremely hard to watch, hard to get excited about. And baseball's a long season. And right around this time each year, it's time for football, And the Ravens have been a perennial contender. Us as Redskins fans wouldn't know anything about that. But the Ravens have been sort of took over the town. And that's completely understandable. Baltimore fans love winners, are extremely passionate. And there was nothing to be passionate about with the Orioles. There wasn't. And frankly, last year we didn't think there was anything to be passionate about. So there aren't necessarily bandwagoners hopping back on to
hop-ons.
There's not necessarily...
Watch out for bridges and hop-ons.
You gotta watch out for hop-ons. They're not necessarily hop-ons. They're people coming back. And that's what we've always wanted. I know we both... No, don't get away and stay away.
This is the message that
no,
we're sending?
I don't know. I don't know if this is just me, but I've always looked forward to a time during all these dark years when I was the only one of my friends in Pennsylvania that watched the Orioles, and most of the friends that I knew from Maryland even watching the Orioles. I looked forward to a time that it was relevant and people wanted to talk about the Orioles again with me. And I'm sure you can relate to that,
But all we've done is really delude ourselves into thinking that people want to talk about the Orioles by making this podcast. And we're like, yeah, we're talking about the Orioles, isn't everyone else?
My extended point is this. Over those last couple years, a lot of the really passionate, smart sports fans of Baltimore have obtained this football mentality of everything's must win. Every play, everything is extremely important. And
16 games.
And they come back to the Orioles because they're exciting and they've always wanted to love the Orioles anyway, and it's a lovable team. The whole entire culture has changed, both in their minds and because of things like Twitter and message boards and the internet, which wasn't the way it is now when the Orioles were last good, because it's been that long. It means that every Jim Johnson blown save is catastrophic, and how can we ever rebound? And every slightly controversial lineup move or bullpen decision is buck a moron for one night, and then everyone's okay again. But I think everyone's just wound a little tight because of that. And I think it just bears remembering that this team has the youngest lineup in baseball, or one of the youngest lineups, and we're in control of all of our key players on both sides of the ball for next year and going forward. And we made the playoffs last year, our playoff contenders this year. If we miss the playoffs, that will be extremely, extremely disappointing. But we just had 14 seasons of bad baseball. We now have 1 year and another 4 months of extremely exciting baseball that we got to enjoy. We had 10 months. I am thrilled to be an Orioles fan right now. And 1-5 is tough. Just beg a little perspective. And I don't mean to come across as...
Preach, brother!
I don't mean to come across as preachy, but man, it's tough too, because these games do matter. If we had swept the Sox series, we would have been 1 game behind the Sox. If we had gotten swept by them, we would have been 7 games behind the Sox. So each of these series are enormous. It's crazy.
I don't know, taking that football mentality, even if you break down series into, instead of saying, all right, we need to win every game, if we win every series, even that's too often of looking at it. So if you take the season, 152 games? 62. You break that down into 16 game chunks. So every 10 game, we have to look at every 10 game blocks would be the equivalent.
And also, it's still not the equivalent
10
because
games.
NFL teams go 13-3. No MLB team is going to go 130, 120, and 40. It's not gonna happen. The only team that's done that the only team that's done that recently is the Mariners, and that was however many years ago. Our friend Ben Fisher can attest to that being long in the rearview mirror. So the Mariners. It's gonna be okay.
We're playing the Mariners.
We are playing the Mariners.
Playing the Mariners soon. We got a series against Houston. Big series, not really, but we got to beat up on them. We got to do some beating up on Houston. Got to do some beating up on Seattle, just to make ourselves feel good.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to, and we will.
We will.
And probably we're going to work to have Mr. Ben Fisher on next week to share how it's been going in Seattle. He's still stuck in the dark ages of Seattle, and maybe it'll be good to look upon Seattle and see where we were just 3 short years ago.
They went on a big winning streak too, so and I'm sure that there'll be at least players in the upcoming trade deadline. So by next week, Mariners have a lot of exciting things happening for them. So we can talk some Mariners O's action. It'll be good.
So now we want to move to the time of the show where we get to know a little bit more about one Wei and Shen. Through the mysteries of science and Google Translate, we too can understand what Wei and Shen, or better known as on Twitter as the lifetime suspension order, what he has to say about the world. So, on July 24th,
Dang it.
Wei and Shen writes, "Today was not able to help the team win. A pity. But the result is the result. Properly prepare for the next game."
Something that's really confusing while we're on this topic. Charm City Sports tweeted out a picture of a screenshot of Darren O'Day being interviewed. I believe it was Darren O'Day.
Oh, right.
And in Darren O'Day's locker appears to be a framed picture of Timothy Lynn,
Wei and Shen's
interpreter. It's really blurry. It's sort of hard to tell. We forwarded that along to Timothy Lynn's Twitter account, asking him to explain himself. We haven't heard anything back. We'll keep you posted if Timothy Lynn lets us know what his intentions with our Darren O'Day are. I didn't mean to disrupt the Chen tweets, but
the next one is actually properly written. On the 11th of July, Wei and Chen writes, "I am very happy. Finally returned to the major leagues. However, the picture is him holding that WWF or whatever it is, WWE championship belt with a scowl on his face. That's just as good."
I'm not really. I don't got anything.
No, there's nothing else that I said.
Adam Jones. Why did he buy that?
Well, he didn't buy it, right? There was like some WWE event, and he was a special. I thought he was a special guest, and they gave
him a replica belt for being. He carried that.
At least that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he didn't just buy it.
He was tweeted out from the official WWE. Yeah. Speaking of, we've already talked a little bit about copyright infringement. I think one of my favorite, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. One of my favorite copyright battles was WWF versus WWF, the World Wrestling Federation against the World Wildlife Foundation. The logo is this adorable panda. They won.
Oh, I think I know that. Well, panda's really, if you got a panda on your side.
Kung Fu Panda was actually on TV the other day.
Never seen it.
Worth your time. Let me tell you what.
Worth your time. Spastics Nation, get out there.
No, I wouldn't endorse it that much. Well, we're sort of headed towards the end of the show here. Without Chris, this is sort of a quiet time of the show.
Oh, there's no yelling in the background. Speed!
There it is. The Chris 19 Memorial.
Gin Palmer's. I'm drinking Gin Palmer's, and I don't.
Since he's not on today, we need to give him some mad props. We all play Ultimate Frisbee. Or Dean and I are more used to play Ultimate Frisbee, but Chris is still in the prime of his career, and he's part of the elite team out of New York called New York Pony. Pony has always been a very good team. They went to nationals last year, which is really amazing, but they finished last, which is the least amount of amazing that they could do. But they just entered they were just in a part of a extremely big early season tournament. They were seated towards the bottom of it, and they won. They upset a whole bunch of great. Yeah, they upset a whole bunch of really great teams. Chris actually was involved in the play of the game on what he described as maybe the worst decision of his life. We'll post it. He throws a. Nobody cares about this right now, but he throws a cross-field hammer to the foreside to somebody covered, and luckily somebody else cut in front and laid out and caught it and made this unbelievable catch. And Chris is just visible in the corner of the screen as everyone's celebrating, just like laughing and like holding his hand on his head in like relief that he didn't somehow screw up worse. But yeah, so congrats to Chris as a big part of a really cool. Had the whole ultimate world was buzzing about that. So props. Hey! Solid of the Rock performance goes to Chris Knightsey. But yeah, before we head out, we've gotten a whole lot of awesome contact with people in the Orioles community since we last were on the air, and one of our favorites was the podcast war in particular between us and Section 336 and Baltimoreans, Bird's Eye View.
More like 336.
Bird's Eye View and more like Turd's Eye View and BSR's podcast. It's been a pretty intense battle. We're winding down. We're glad that it's going to be reaching its close. Utah Street Report decided that they would cover it because it's been getting pretty contentious. Lots of videos, lots of promises. I feel like the prettiest girl at the ball. But we got this ringing endorsement that I felt necessary to tell you about, Dean, and read on the air for everybody. Some of the podcasts are stat-heavy, while others are completely off the rails and touch on baseball only sporadically, like Oriole Spastics. That is a ringing endorsement. And I would say that it's probably our best review since Jim Cramer upgraded us to Risky. Risky!
It's really happening, isn't it?
It's really happening. Feels good. It feels good to laugh again. So August 1st, we're so excited. Please check out our Twitter on August 1st. We've got the conclusion of this podcast war. I think everyone's going to be pretty satisfied with it. I don't know if every question will be answered, but it'll be a satisfying ending, fitting end to this saga.
And you're right, Charlie. We have reached the end today, and we will close this week with a brand new sponsor of the podcast, OBP Apparel. They are awesome guys over there. Cal has been designing up some great logos, some shirts, some banners for us.
Yeah, go to our Facebook and check out Banner.
Check out Banner, Michael.
He knows what he's doing over there. And we thank him for all the support so far. Clothing Thoughts this week is brought to you by OBP Apparel. Go ahead and visit them over at obpapparel.com. They got their new website launched up. Exciting
the very
for them.
best Baltimore fan apparel, I would say. I own
the very best.
You have a McClutch t-shirt, and I own a Mike Flanagan t-shirt, as well as a Chris Hoyles shirt from years gone by. It says Tractor on the front. Man, I miss Chris Hoyles. What are your clothing thoughts?
My clothing thoughts for this week are, it's starting to get really hot out there. It's starting to get hot. It's starting to get humid here in this mid-Atlantic weather. It's sticky. It's hot. And you might be thinking lightweight. You might be thinking breathable, especially on the leg region. But you know what I say? Don't do that.
All right.
Because there's another option out there for you. It's called cutoffs. And cutoffs, cutoffs are basically, they're like.
Do you wear cutoffs?
I dabble.
How short are cutoffs?
The question really is, how short is too short? For
I want you to answer that yourself. How short is too short?
How short is too short? You got to give the ladies what they want, is what I always come back to on that. So I will say to you, Spastics Nation, and especially those coming tonight at the yard, cutoffs.
Are you considering wearing cutoffs tonight at the yard, Dean? We've talked about it.
It's not a consideration. It's less of a consideration and more of a
eventuality.
Yes, yeah, some big word that only Baltimoreans know. That means that I'm going to do it no matter what happens. and it feels like
Well,
I have
you heard
to.
it here first. Dean is wearing cutoffs to Night at the Yards. If you are interested in seeing Dean, a lot of Dean's thigh, and the rest of Oriole Spastics, you should come to Night at the Yard.
Don't bring your kids. I'm not proud of my upper thigh.
Children, this isn't for you.
Clothing thoughts, Charles.
Well, I mean, I think that probably the most suitable clothing for Night at the Yard, other than cutoffs, is going to be the outfit that I'm going to be wearing, because I am going to be wearing my Section 336 Night at the Yard t-shirt to support our bitter rivals, because it is also designed by OBP Apparel, which is our good friends and cohorts. Family first. And I'm also going to probably be wearing a bow tie. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be a black bow tie or an orange bow tie. Since the shirt's orange, I might think black to sort of offset it. But I've talked a lot of bow tie on here. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't wear one.
That's true. I was wondering how you're going to work that in.
I don't know. It's going to be hot. I mean, I'll
Well, it will be the evening.
And you're going to be in cutoffs. I might as well complete the ensemble of us looking ridiculous. Right. Chris is not going to be there. He's still in Albany, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'll come back with some Spamalot inspired outfit. I don't know. I don't think he'll be there. But if he does, it will be great.
To clap together as he trots through the land.
This will be the end of the podcast this week.
Next week will be a whole new magical thing that you'll find out about on August 1st.
I want to tell you guys so bad. It's like when a man loves a woman, when a man needs to prove to a woman that he's actually a man. But we'll get to that next week because it was about to get a little gross.
Country music loving.
So for Charlie Hoppus and the absent
in
Chris Knightsey, I am Dean Eastlake. We thank you as always for listening, and remember to drink responsibly.
Something magic happens every time you go. Make the magic happen. Make the magic happen.